Welcome to Phoenix, Arizona. Today we're going to be talking about jump seating. Alright, because I don't really know what flight I'm going to be on, first thing I usually do is just head to the board and take a look at what's departing for Seattle. Alright, so it looks like the first flight is a Delta flight, 2449, leaving at 3:45 out of F9. So I'm going to go ahead and head to that gate and then see what we got. Okay, so what I had to do to list for the jump seat is you go up to, well, for Delta anyway, different airlines have different policies on how you want to list for the jump seats. There are some different websites depending on the airline, and they will tell you how to list for it. But for Delta, what I did over here, I went up to the gate, I showed them my company ID, showed them my government issued ID, showed them my passport, and then I showed them my pilot license.
And what about those ID badges that I've seen pilots wear?
Well, every pilot has to have two things with him at all times. One is his airline personnel badge, looks just like this one here from Pan Am. The other one is their FAA license.
And what they did is they listed me for the jump seat. It says Captain Jump Seat required. And what that means is that even though I am listed for the jump seat, I still have to get approval from the captain. And you'll see on here it says CAS. Come on. Oh well. Well, you see on there, it says CAS, and what CAS stands for is Cockpit Access Security System. And what that is an inter-airline agreement, basically. The airline has to apply for it, and it gives pilots the ability to fly in the jump seat of different airlines when they're commuting or traveling or what have you. So this, although it looks like a boarding pass, it is not. It just means that they have my information in the system so that when the time comes, they're going to announce my name, hopefully, and I'll get a seat on the airplane depending on if it is available. I did look on the board. It said that there were maybe a couple of seats open, but when I checked in at the front desk over there, the gate agent did tell me that there was a Delta pilot who had already listed for the jump seat. And the jump seat is kind of a first come, first served basis, but it's also, they will obviously take priority over their own people, their own airline, when listing for the jump seat. So, I mean, my chances are, I'm not going to say they're zero. They're not astronomically great, but it's still a shot. It's my first one. If I don't make this, then there's other flights that I'm going to go ahead and try for. Okay, so what is the jump seat? The jump seat, it is standby, but I'm not going to say standby because standby is, it's accurate, but it's not perfectly accurate. So when somebody's listed for standby, anybody can list for standby for passengers. Say you're trying to get on an earlier flight or something, and you want to see if there's any spots open, and then they will try and put you on that flight. Or a lot of cabin crew members, flight attendants, pilots, are very familiar with this term, flying standby with your families. You can do that, and when you're flying standby with your family, again, it's if the seat is open, you're able to take it. Now, the jump seat is different. So the jump seat, if you've seen the movie Catch Me If You Can with Leonardo DiCaprio, Tom Hanks, and what he does is, he scams the airlines and cons his way into the flight deck and sits in that extra seat.
No shame in that. We all did it.
Have a seat.
Thank you.
So that is the jump seat. There is a jump seat, depending on the airplane, there can either be 1 or 2 seats available in the flight deck. Flight attendants are also able to jump seat, but that means that they're sitting in the back in the cabin with the, an extra flight attendant seat. That is also kind of first come, first served basis. When I worked for Horizon Airlines, I did have the ability to fly, jump seat in the flight deck or in the flight attendant's jump seat because, I'm trained on the airplane. I know how to operate the escape doors and whatnot. Not so with when I try and fly on other airlines. I'm not able to fly in the flight attendant's jump seat. I am able to fly in the flight deck because I have cockpit access security system. I am in the system. So what that does, it gives me just a little bit of an edge when I'm trying to fly to different places. So yes, I will try to fly in the cabin because it is much more comfortable than flying in the flight deck, because that seat is not comfortable. And you're locked in the flight deck, so you're not really going to have the opportunity to use the bathroom. Food, water services, whatever, you have to like coordinate that with all the flight attendants and things to try and get out of the flight deck. So, but normal passengers cannot list for the flight deck. Flight attendants cannot list for the flight deck. It's pretty much just for pilots, other high-ranking officials like the FAA, and anybody within the company that needs to maybe do an audit or something. That's what that flight seat is for. So my chances are not zero. Like I said, they're not perfectly great. I would much rather fly in the cabin, but this is an opportunity to get home. So now they are boarding Zone 6. I don't remember exactly how many zones that they have for the Delta Airlines flights, but the lady said that 15 minutes prior, if that other pilot has not listed and checked in for the jump seat, then she'll give it to me. Hopefully she'll give me a regular seat if maybe like the passenger hasn't checked in. But yeah, just waiting for my name hopefully to be called. If not, I'm going to go ahead and try the next flight to Seattle. Alright, so right now I'm hanging out at the gate. Just waiting my turn. Move a little bit closer to the gate, so hopefully I can, catch the eye of the gate agent every once in a while, just to be like, hey, I'm still here, don't forget about me.
$80 knots. Check. V1, rotate. V2, positive right. Gear up.
Well, thanks for the ride.
Alright.
Drew, John.
You got a few days off?
Yeah, till the 21st.
How good for you?
So, enjoy your 4th of July.
You too.
Have a good one. Thank you. Okay, so I made it to Seattle, and as you can see, they're doing a lot of construction right now. But I want to talk a little bit about what to wear when you're jump seating, because I was asked when I'm jump seating, do I have to be in my pilot uniform? The answer is no, but you do have to dress professionally. So you can see I got polo jeans, shoes on. Before, when I was just hanging out at my aunt's house getting ready to head out, I was just wearing like a sun shirt. I had my swim shorts on, my sandals on, and that's not professional attire. So when you are jump seating, you do have to be somewhat presentable, and you have to, because you're up in the flight deck, you're in full view of everybody, and when they see someone getting on the plane with flip-flops and swim shorts, they're probably thinking, well, what is this guy doing up there in the flight deck? So you do have to be a little bit professional. When you're going through security, you see how that I tried to go through KCM, and KCM is what allows crew members to bypass the security line and go, they just have to scan their badge, show their ID, and show some form of government identification like a passport or a driver's license. But you do get randomed, and I did get randomed on this one, which means I just have to go through usually TSA pre-check. And if you're in your pilot uniform, a lot of the times, or your flight attendant uniform, but if you're in your working uniform and attire, chances are you can skip to the front of the line. And if I am rushing for a flight, then I usually will. Most people are understanding, and they think obviously if somebody's in their work uniform, then they have to get to the airplane, because if the airplane's not going to leave unless the entire crew's there. So people are generally accommodating for that. But if I'm not, then usually I'll just go ahead and go through the TSA line, and I can show my badge there. It says that I got randomed. When you do get randomed in uniform, you can take things through security like a water bottle. A lot of flight attendants or whatever, they carry shampoos or whatever it is that they want to carry with them that exceeds the, I don't even know what the rule are, but the rule is, but if you're typically exceeding like the liquid quantity, like water bottle, shampoos, what have you, then if you're in uniform, you can take that through. If you're not in uniform, then you cannot. So I did have to chug my water bottle, and I have to ditch that. So I brought my water bottle with me through empty, so I could always fill it up later. Now, that does not mean you can just go on Amazon and buy a pilot uniform and walk through the airport and cut in the security line. Though it's not necessarily illegal. Of course, if you got a pilot uniform and tried to get on the airplane, then yeah, you're probably going to get stopped. But it's frowned upon. You know, obviously anybody can go online and buy a pilot uniform and wear it as a Halloween costume. I'm a Halloween costume. But if you were to impersonate a pilot to the point where you're trying to get on the plane, don't do that. So I think that'll about do it for my quick little intro on jump seating. I haven't done it in a while. I used to do it all the time for commuting because a lot of pilots, a lot of flight attendants, they do commute, meaning they live in one city and then they have to fly to where they are starting in a different city. Thankfully I don't have to do that anymore, so that makes it a lot easier. But if I didn't get on this first flight, which I was actually kind of surprised that it did make it on the first flight, then I had other flights. You know, I saw on the board there was multiple airlines multiple times. Unfortunately, not all the gates are right next to each other, so sometimes you got to be hustling through the airport to try and, you know, get on the next flight. You always got to have a backup, and my backup was if I didn't get on any of the flights, I had a couple friends and family that were still in town, so I would have been able to just Uber or call them up to get a ride and then try again the next day. But I was lucky, I got home on the first try. So that'll about do it. As usual, if you like what you see, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. If there's something that you want to see in the future, please feel free to leave a comment and reach out to me. Until next time, thanks for flying. My name is Ryan.